Experience the life of a U.S. Air Force F-22 fighter pilot. Episode 1. Applicant. You are 18 years old. This is a choice you're making for yourself. You walk into a military recruitment office in Ohio. Under the hum of fluorescent lights, in front of a gray metal desk sits a recruiter who has heard every excuse in the book. You tell him you want to fly. No smile. He slides a document across the desk. It lists the physical fitness requirements, vision standards, educational thresholds, and performance benchmarks. You read every page. 3 weeks later, your application is approved. The recruiter stamps your form and points toward the door. You walk out into the parking lot. The sky above is blanketed in thick clouds, but somewhere above those clouds, someone is flying at 1.5 times the speed of sound. That thought sets your heart on fire. Right then and there, you make a silent promise that one day, that will be you. Episode 2. Cadet. You are 19 years old. At 6 in the morning, you arrive at the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Before noon, your head will be shaved. Your civilian clothes will be boxed up and shipped home. Before you earn a name here, you are assigned a number. Basic cadet training lasts 76 days. You wake up at 4:45 in the morning and run formation drills before the sun even rises. You finish a full meal in under 4 minutes. Eyes forward, spine straight. You memorize the chain of command and every regulation, every order, all of it recited before you're allowed to sleep. A cadet in your squad named Garrett breaks down crying on the second night, quietly, just facing the wall in silence. By the third week, Garrett is leading the pack, the strongest runner in the unit. Here, you learn something no classroom could ever teach you. The body gives up long before it actually hits its true limit. Every time you push past the threshold where your mind screams to stop, you're not just training your lungs, you're sharpening your judgment. At 50,000 feet, there are no second chances. So you stop listening to the voice that says enough. You start listening to the voice that says not yet. Episode 3. Flight student. You are 22 years old. You begin undergraduate pilot training at Laughlin Air Force Base in Texas. You start behind the controls of a T-6 Texan Roman 2 turboprop trainer. After all you've been through to get here, you're flying a plane that feels like it belongs in 1944. Your instructor, Captain Diaz, is an A-10 pilot with 11 years of service. On your first day in the cockpit, he says nothing until you're airborne. Then he tells you, don't fly with your eyes, fly with your hands. It takes you 3 weeks to understand what that means. One morning over the Chihuahuan Desert, something shifts. Your inputs grow smaller and smaller. You're no longer just correcting, no longer just reacting. You're anticipating. You can feel the aircraft. But feeling alone isn't enough. You study instruments until 1 in the morning, then brief missions before dawn, fly 2 sorties before lunch, and spend 2 hours in debrief every afternoon. The debrief is harder than the flight itself. Every mistake is replayed. Every hesitation is examined. There is no room for ego in that room. Ego gets people killed. On the T-6, you log 90 hours of flight time. Then they move you to the T-38 Talon, a supersonic jet trainer, swept back wings, twin engines, a cockpit so narrow your shoulders barely fit. The first time you break the sound barrier, you hear nothing. That's the point, because you've already left it behind. You're not a pilot yet, but it's the first time you actually believe you might be. Episode 4. Combat Aviator. You are 25 years old. At Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, you are selected to train in the F-22 Raptor. Out of your entire pilot training class, only 4 pilots are selected to fly fighters, and the only one assigned to the Raptor is you. But no one celebrates. Your instructor makes it clear on day 1. Being selected only means you have potential. What you do here will determine whether you're worthy of it. The F-22 carries 5th generation stealth technology, super cruise capability, no afterburner required to sustain supersonic flight. Thrust vectoring nozzles let you point the nose in any direction the laws of aerodynamics allow. Your first flight in the Raptor lasts just 1.1 hours and leaves you completely drained for the rest of the day. The information this aircraft generates exceeds your ability to process it. Radar tracks, threat warnings, fuel state, weapon status, navigation data, all of it displayed simultaneously across a glass cockpit. This demands an entirely new way of seeing, not staring at the displays, but looking through them. Your first simulated dogfight ends in a complete loss. The debrief runs longer than the fight itself. You'll be back in the air the next morning. In this training pipeline, the opposite of failure is not success, it's persistence. You watch 2 pilots get washed out, both of them brilliant, neither willing to admit they made a mistake. You learn to own your errors, quickly, loudly, and without shame. That's what keeps you in the program. Episode 5. Flight Lead. You are 29 years old, assigned to the 1st Fighter Wing at Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, one of the most storied units in American aviation history. You're no longer a wingman. You lead a 2-ship formation. The difference isn't rank, it's responsibility. Wingmen execute. Flight leads decide. Your first real mission comes 6 weeks later, over the Atlantic, against Navy F/A-18 Super Hornets in dissimilar air combat training. 4 vs 4. No live weapons. Full simulated rules of engagement. The night before the mission, you and your wingman, Captain Torres, go through a 90-minute brief. Threat parameters, comp discipline, altitude deconfliction, and abort criteria. You plan for every scenario where things go right. The engagement lasts 4 minutes and 11 seconds. You splash 3 Hornets. Torres gets the 4th. In the debrief, a squadron commander with 7 combat deployments leans back in his chair and says to you, clean execution. You don't smile, because you're already running through what you missed. There was a 10-second window during the engagement when your radar dropped into scan mode. You didn't call it out. Torres compensated without being told. He covered your gap. What bothers you most isn't the mistake itself. It's the fact that as a flight lead, if you need your wingman to cover your silence, you're not really leading. You just got lucky. You addressed this directly with Taurus because you're beginning to understand that performing better as an individual is not the same thing as leadership. Episode 6, Instructor Pilot. You are 33 years old. They send you back to Tyndall, not to learn. To teach. You are now an F-22 instructor pilot. The new pilot's climbing into the cockpit for the first time. Pale faces, tense expressions, white-knuckling the stick. Isn't that exactly who you were 8 years ago? You think back to Captain Diaz. Now you understand him. Your first student is Second Lieutenant Harmon, age 24. Sharp instincts. Quick reflexes, always aggressive in the merge. He wins fights he has no business winning, but he also loses ones he assumed were already his. You fly alongside him every day for 6 weeks. You're not trying to make him less aggressive. Aggression is an asset. What you need to teach him is the difference between calculated risk and recklessness, because the sky doesn't forgive either one, and the line between them can disappear in a split second. By week 5, Harmon starts calling knock at mid-engagement on his own. He'll break off a pursuit, reset, and come back in. His moves are slower now, but he's alive. You write in his evaluation, exceptional situational awareness, sound tactical judgment, recommend for advanced qualification. Best eval you've written in years. Sitting in that debrief room, it hits you. The mission was never just about flying. It was always about building the next pilot who flies better than you. Episode 7, Squadron Commander, age 38. You command the 94th Fighter Squadron, 26 F-22s, 240 personnel. You don't fly every day now. You only take to the air when the mission demands it. Your desk is buried under readiness status reports, maintenance delay memos, congressional budget inquiries from the wing, a formal investigation into a ground incident involving a fuel truck and a hangar door. You sign more documents than flight plans. One evening, a young lieutenant named Riz walks into your office. He was left off the red flag Nevada roster, the top-tier air combat exercise in the world. He is frustrated, and he doesn't hide it. You tell him he wasn't left off because he wasn't ready enough. He was left off because Lieutenant Owen wasn't ready enough, and red flag will make him ready faster. Your opportunity will come again. Owen only has this one chance. Riz is quiet for a moment, then he nods and walks out. 3 months later, Owen comes back from red flag with the highest kill-to-loss ratio in his class. Riz is the first one to walk up and congratulate him. In that moment, you understand, command is not authority, it's the careful stewardship of what you've been entrusted to protect. Episode 8, Wing Commander. You are 44 years old. You take command of your first fighter wing, 48 aircraft, 4,000 personnel, a 9-figure budget. Twice a year, you brief the Air Force Chief of Staff. You fly less now, but every time you strap in, your currency is closely monitored. Minimum flight hours are required to maintain your qualification. Even when operational demands are almost entirely administrative, you must maintain it. Some commanders let their currency quietly lapse. You fly once a week, in the early morning before the workday begins, not to prove anything, but to remember what your people live every single day. A pilot in your wing, Lieutenant Donahue, is grounded while awaiting a medical review. He is 28. He's been flying since he was 18. On a Saturday, you pull his file. You call the flight surgeon at home and ask whether every option has been exhausted. It turns out, they hadn't been. 6 weeks later, Donahue is back in the cockpit. His waiver has been approved. He'll never know you made that call. You never tell him. That's what the job is. Episode 9, General. You are 51 years old. 2 stars on your shoulder. You serve as Deputy Commander of Air Combat Command at Langley Eustis, Virginia. Major General. You advise on force structure doctrine, next generation platform acquisition, and F-22 operational integration. You are in the rooms where decisions are made that will determine American air dominance. A debate is underway inside the building. Should the F-22 production line, shut down in 2011, be restarted? Or should those resources be fully redirected to accelerate a 6th-generation platform? Billions of dollars. Years of commitment. You have a position. It is not a popular one in that room. You state it clearly. You back it with data. You accept the pushback. You adjust where the data tells you to adjust. And you hold firm where the data tells you to hold. Episode 10, Legacy. You are 57 years old. You are retiring. The ceremony is held at Langley Air Force Base. Flags fly. Jets pass overhead. A citation is read aloud. The words make your career sound larger than it ever felt from inside it. Your former student, Harmon, is there, now commanding his own squadron. Lieutenant Colonel Reyes, Colonel Owen, Donahue, one of the most decorated active-duty F-22 pilots in the Air Force. You didn't personally fly every sortie, but the decisions you made kept every jet in the air. Afterward, someone asks what the F-22 taught you. You think for a moment and say, it taught me that the aircraft doesn't care how talented you are. It only cares how prepared you are. And preparation isn't something you do when the hard moment arrives. It's something you practice every single day. They shake your hand one by one. Then photos are taken. Above the flight line, 2 Raptors in a perfect fingertip formation punch through a broken cloud deck, climbing clean, silent, and impossibly fast. You watch them until they disappear.